All right, so we're going to jump right into this video. No intro, nothing like that. We're going to be talking about patch 0.14.1. I'm sure there's already a lot of videos going through each and every single one of these. I'm not going to do that. It would take forever if we read all of these off. But what I did do was I took all of the things that I felt were relevant or things that I have experienced, and I put it into a notepad, and I'm just going to go through all of them there. This one is pretty controversial because they talked a little bit about some microtransactions, but we will get to that later. But a few things that I do want to talk about, we're actually going to go into the game and kind of test them out a little bit. So starting off, they fixed an issue with missing blunt damage when hitting a ballistic plate. So before, we thought they had changed it on purpose to where if you hit a plate, you didn't take any kind of blunt damage. And now it seems that it is working as it is intended. With that being said, they also added in the blunt damage now decreases when there is soft armor behind the unpenetrated component. So if you have soft armor behind your plate, you won't take as much damage as you would with something like a slick where it doesn't have any soft armor and you would take the maximum amount of blunt damage. Next up, they added the fits existing text to the ballistic plate inspector to display which armor plates it fits to. So this is kind of like a quality of life kind of thing here. So I got a bunch of plates down here. For example, if we go ahead and click on this one, right here, you've got the compatible with available drop down. So this is going to show me every single armor in my stash that will take this plate. So as you can see here, we got a bunch of Thors, Slicks, Troopers, Gazelles, bunch of stuff. So if you're confused at what a plate goes into, now you can just use this, or you could just right click, link search, and it will tell you all of the different armors that you could put it in as well. This was the only way we could do it before, but now you have a little drop down, so it kind of makes it easier. If we go over here to this granite plate, we can do the same thing as well. Go ahead and click on this compatible with available, and you'll see I've got a bunch of Thors, Karasas, Gazelles, stuff like that. So now you know what plates go into what a little bit easier than before. Next up is going to be they adjusted the recoil parameters for pistols, shotguns, and the SKS carbine. I've got a couple pistols here. We're going to start with the Glock, bone stock Glock, nothing modified on it whatsoever. We'll jump into the hideout. Now, I saw a lot of people complaining about this, saying that the pistols were just like completely useless now. I've done a little bit of testing, and that doesn't seem to be the case for me. So before, as you guys know, in this new wipe, they changed how recoil works for pretty much every gun in the game, and pistols actually felt very, very good. And to be honest, I don't really know what people are complaining about. There is a little bit more noticeable recoil with the pistols and a little bit more camera shake, but to me, it still feels pretty good. So we're going to start with this over here, and we'll do like some slow tap firing. As you can see, there's like a lot of camera movement going up and down, but the reticle actually stays pretty solid. I'm gonna go ahead and reset this, and now we are gonna spam it and see what it looks like. So as you can see, a lot more recoil, a lot more camera shake. I don't think it's like completely game breaking. I still think pistols feel pretty good, but we're gonna go ahead and back out of here and try it with the 5.7. Again, we'll do some quick tap firing over here. Still feels pretty good in my opinion, and now we will go ahead and spam fire. So honestly, yes, there is a big difference in recoil, but I think people are complaining a little bit too much about it. But then again, I don't really use pistols that much, so this doesn't really affect me. But I still think they're very viable, and people are just kind of freaking out for no reason. Next up is going to be they adjusted the random container spawn settings to reduce the chance of spawning an empty container. Now, I never really had an issue with this other than the large gray or black weapon boxes. There was one spot on customs where I always looted this box, and it was always just completely empty. But again, I didn't really have an issue with this, but I did see it every now and again. So hopefully now pretty much all of the containers that you loot will have something in them. Next up is the following plate carrier and body armor integrated components have been upgraded to class 3. So with this new patch, a lot of the plate carriers and body armors came with class 2 soft armor, and some of them have been upgraded to class 3. So we've got the Trooper, the CPC, High Precision CPC, which is the one you get off of the goons, the Bulgari A&A Tactical M2, AVS, the AVS plate carrier, the Tagilla one, and then the 511 Tactile plate carrier. Now, honestly, I don't think this is much of an improvement over what they were. I still think the coverage areas are not good. The only thing I could see that is going to be a little bit better now is the Bulgari, because it has pretty good coverage, but the rest of these, honestly, I probably still won't even use them just because their coverages aren't any good. So if we go over here to the little handbook and we go ahead and check on some of these, you can see the M2 now has class 3 soft armor, and if we find the Bulgari, we can look as well. This one also has class 3 soft armor. I think this one is now going to be very usable because if you take a look at it, the coverage is actually not bad at all. So maybe I'll start running this in the future, test it out a little bit, and let you guys know how it is. All right, so that was all of the changes to the game that I wanted to talk about. Now we're going to get into the fixes, and then we will end the video off with talking about this microtransaction thing that has the community in sort of an uproar. I personally don't think it's a big deal, but we will get to it. Let's talk about some of these fixes. I only have a couple written down, but let's get to them. So the first one is they fixed the lack of camera sway when aiming in the left shoulder stance. So I noticed this pretty early when I was messing around with the shoulder swapping. Basically, if you swapped over to the left shoulder and started walking side to side, there was no like footstep sway like you get when you're on the right shoulder. It was kind of smooth and it just pans side to side really easily, and it looked actually pretty good. Nothing crazy, and it didn't really affect the game that much, but apparently that has been fixed. Next up, there's another one that I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about, but I saw it and had sort of a different idea of what it may be other than just reading it at face value, and that is they fixed several bugs in vaulting mechanics that cause getting pushed out, stuck, falling into geometry. So when I read this, I immediately thought of people like jumping into the factory marked room on streets, and also people jumping into like 301 on resort on shoreline. So I don't know if that's what they meant by this, or if they just meant that people were like falling through rocks or falling through the map or stuff like that. I know that was an issue, and I have seen clips of that as well, but I feel like this has sort of an implication that goes to vaulting into locked rooms that you're not supposed to be in, because if you guys remember the last patch notes we got, they said they fixed that, and they did not fix it at all. You can still jump right into them, but we'll just have to wait and see, test it out, see if we can still get in there and see if they actually fixed it. And then finally, the last one of the fixes that I want to talk about is they adjusted the damage from fire and barbed wire. So the reason why I think this one is kind of important, if you guys play Streets, you will know the burning car on Streets. That thing has been absolutely murdering people. You walk up close to it, not even close to it actually, you walk up within a certain distance that you feel like you probably shouldn't die, and it'll hit you for like 2 or 3 ticks of damage and just absolutely destroy you. So what I want to do, I want to jump into an offline raid on Streets, go up to that car, and then see what kind of damage it does now. All right, so we're here. This is the burning car. This is on the main road that goes through the map, Primorsky Avenue. There's Pinewood over there. There's the mall over there, Expo checkpoints over there. So a lot of you guys probably know about this car. If you've ran past it before, it's probably killed you. So now we're going to kind of test it and see what it does. Okay, so I can run right by it, no issues. I know before you could run by it like around here and it would still kill you. I'm just going to walk right into the fire now. So it still does do a good amount of damage. I think that was 4 ticks, but now you can actually run by it without getting absolutely destroyed. One quick thing I want to add there, while I was running through Streets, my performance felt absolutely terrible. So I'm not sure if there's something in here that says anything about that, or if they made some kind of changes, but it felt horrible. Like I was in an offline raid, I was probably getting like 40 to 50 frames. Normally in an offline, I'm over 100, and in like an actual raid, I get super low frames. I'm not really sure why. That's a totally different topic, but the performance felt absolutely terrible. I'm not sure if anybody else is having this issue, but I thought I would just throw that in. And now finally, we're going to talk about the big one, the one that's got everybody up in arms. People are super upset. Obviously, the pistol recoil has kind of pissed a lot of people off, but this one is going to be about microtransactions. Now, this game, to my knowledge, has never had any kind of microtransactions whatsoever. Sorry, my sugar is selling in the background. It finally hit 70k, so we're making money, boys. But anyways, they have announced that in the near future, the in-game stash expansion and access to the practice co-op mode will become available for purchase in the profile page on the official Escape from Tarkov website. Basically, what that means is you can purchase additional stash lines that will be available regardless of your game edition. So if you have EOD or just the base game, it doesn't matter. You're going to be able to buy additional stash lines. Also, they said purchasing access to the practice co-op mode will be available for all editions. For Edge of Darkness owners, the ability to play in practice co-op mode is available by default. So one of the features of EOD is being able to go into a co-op offline mode with one of your friends and do whatever you want to do, learn the map, teach them some stuff, whatever. If you have the base game, you cannot do this. And as we know, EOD is now gone. You cannot buy it anymore. So if you want the ability to do that, you will be able to purchase that separately, which in my opinion, that doesn't really matter, because before, if you wanted that, you would just buy EOD and you were spending the money anyways. But I feel like a lot of people didn't know about that, and now people are trying to do this that don't have EOD and they're kind of confused. So I think that's why they've thrown that in there. But the big one here is going to be the buying additional stash lines regardless of your game edition. So I think a lot of people are confused on this. They don't really understand, you know, why they would do this. They think, oh, if I have a lot of money, I can just go and buy 1,000 new lines of stash space and just infinitely hoard items. Well, if we go ahead and go over to the Reddit, Nikita himself has posted this, and this is talking a little bit more about it. Basically, they're saying all the same things that I just told you guys, but a few more things have been added here for some more context. So they removed the EOD version, and some of the EOD features need to go back. Offline co-op, for example, we just talked about that. And then they said the game is running for 8 years without any additional float. You just buy it and play it forever, and it's pretty unique situation for a game such as EFT. I agree completely. They've never done microtransactions, so why not now? In the upcoming patches, we want to add stash expansions for every version, up to 28 additional lines of stash space. So no, you are not going to be able to just buy an infinite amount of stash space. You can only buy 28 lines. Another thing they said is clothing early unlock. So it's the same clothing that you can buy from Ragman, but you will be able to spend real money to unlock stuff early if you so choose. And then obviously they're talking again about co-op. They clarified here and said there will be no in-game money, items, weapons, gear packages, purchases, and so on. No boosters. So basically you can't spend real money to buy like meta weapons and armor and stuff like that early on. And then they also said about stash expansions, later you will also have an option to earn that lines in the game too without spending any money. So basically they are going to be giving us the option. If we want that stash space immediately, we can spend real money on it, support the developers, whatever you want to call it. I know people just love to cry about this game, but there are some of us that really love this game and really love the developers and want to support it in every way that we can. So this will be another option for you to do that. If you don't want to spend real money, you do not have to. You can still get all of those stash lines for absolutely free. I'm assuming they're going to add new quests that allow you to do that. So with all of that being said, all of that out of the way, that is all of the things that kind of caught my attention in these patch notes. I don't understand why people are getting so up in arms about this microtransaction thing. You have to understand that the developers have never asked for any kind of extra money whatsoever. There's never been microtransactions. So this is just a way that if you want to, you absolutely could do it. But if you don't want to, there is a way to do it for free. I think that's awesome. I think that's great to give us the option to do either. If we want to spend the money, support the devs, and get access to it immediately, that's awesome. If you don't want to spend the money and you want to do the quest, you can do that also. It's kind of the same as if you were to have the base game or EOD. I remember when I started playing the game, I bought the base game, realized that the stash space really sucked, and immediately upgraded to EOD within a couple of days because I just wanted extra stash space. Now they're giving us options to get even more, either for free, putting in some time, effort, and work, or by just paying real money for it. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but I would assume it's going to be like $5 to $10 per extra line of space. And when I say extra line, just think about this right here. So one extra line just like that, and we can buy 28 of them. Each line has 10 slots. So 28 extra lines is 280 extra slots. But anyways, that is going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something through these patch notes. I'm not sure when the whole microtransactions is going to be in the game. They just kind of announced it. I don't think you can do that right now, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you think they completely screwed up by offering microtransactions, or do you think it's a good thing? Let me know down below what you think. Also, if you guys are interested, I just want to give a quick reminder that I'm live over on Twitch pretty much every day between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have any questions related to my videos or just the game in general, feel free to stop by and hang out for a bit. We also have a community Discord where you can find people to play with, share photos of cursed guns, or even show off your loot at the end of a juicy raid. So if that interests you, it'll be linked down below as well. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.